welcome to the next episode of Infi Ed Talks, a signature series of one-to-one conversations with Infosys Foundation USA partners who are pioneers in K-12 computer science and maker education. We speak with these leaders about their unique life stories, as well as the innovative ways they're bringing inclusive access to students, educators, and families across the country. My name is Kate Maloney, and I'm the Executive Director of Infosys Foundation USA. I am pleased to introduce my guest today, Bukola Somide, who is CEO and founder of Innovent Technologies, as well as the founder of CompSciABC, a nonprofit that is working to bring computer science to underserved communities across the country. Bukola and I today are having this conversation in recognition of International Women's Day and the theme, Break the Bias. Bukola, I'm thrilled to have you today to talk about exactly that and how your work is truly helping us to break the bias.
Yes, Kate. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm glad to be here and be a part of this conversation.
Wonderful. Well, I think it's important for everyone to know a little bit more about who you are before we dig into all the great work you're doing. So would you be willing to share a bit about where you're from and maybe some highlights of your own educational journey?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm originally born in Nigeria, and my family migrated here actually to Maryland back in '95. And since then, I graduated with a bachelor's in computer science, a master's in technology management, and I'm PMP certified, and that's project management professional. And I've been working in the IT industry with a software engineering background for the past 17 years.
So how did you, I mean, it's inspiring to know you went right into computer science, but we hear sometimes girls don't have that exact journey. Was there a person who inspired you or someone to whom you attribute that kind of pivot to pursue it academically?
I mean, that's a very good point. My story is a little unorthodox. So I learned about computer science in 10th grade, and this was actually back in the late 90s. And it wasn't because computer science was being told to us or the awareness was there back then. I just happened to speak to a graduating senior, and they just told me about it. And I really didn't know that much about it. I was just like, oh, I love science, and computers are the way of the future. And I said, I'll pursue computer science, so I felt like computer science kind of found me versus the other way around. But, when it came time for me to graduate, my dad now intervened and asked me what I wanted to do. And I couldn't tell him exactly what computer science was. So he actually had to go to the library to do the research for me. Because back then there weren't any search engines yet. And he came back to me and he was like, do you know what? They make good money. So I'm going to let you pursue it. And that's kind of how my story got started. One pivotal part, though, when I look back, when I was transitioning into college, I was a part of this bridge program at the University of Maryland, College Park. And bridge program helps minorities that are pursuing computers, math, and physical sciences to help retain them. And so being a part of this organization, it exposed me, one, to what computer science really was. And that's when I got my feet wet when it comes to what programming was, actually programming, realizing that it's a completely different world. And that's what I felt like at the time, like it was a matrix effect for me. But that's where the gratification came, that once I got my program to work, I just felt like, wow, it was like a light bulb went off. I was able to create something from scratch that actually worked. And that's really what kind of energized me and kept pushing me and helped me to stay within this program. But I would admit that when I got to my junior year in college, I was so burnt out that I wanted to quit. So that can be relatable to some out there that are pursuing it. I wanted to quit. So why did I end up staying? I'm glad I still had that support system because, one, my dad, I spoke to him about it and he encouraged me and was like, for your master's, you can do whatever you want. You're almost done and stick in there. And also my bridge counselor as well. They were there to really support me and encourage me and just gave me the fuel I needed, the belief I needed in myself to just stick it through. And that's what I did. And ever since I've been working in corporate America, I believe the Lord just placed individuals there that kind of believed in me and just gave me those opportunities. So it wasn't, I didn't have clear mentors back then. I'm glad that there's been a lot of progress when it comes to STEM initiatives and all the different programs that are out there now. But back in the early 2000s, these weren't there. So I'm glad more of it is there right now. There are more relatable mentors that are more visible on social media. That wasn't there for me, but this is my story and how I stuck to it. And I just had a natural passion and desire to pursue it. And now I'm here.
Well, I know, and we're going to dig into all the success you've had, but you are, as I introduced you, the founder of a company. So you
Yes.
are an engineer and you are a businesswoman. Was Innovant Technologies your first entree into the business world? And if so, what did you envision this company to achieve or be about?
Good question. I've actually not been asked that question before. Actually, Nova Technologies wasn't my first business. My first business was Show Me Technologies. And back then, I just wanted to utilize my skill sets to create a product. But what I realized, I didn't have a strong business model. So after 4 years, I shut it down. But with Innovant Technologies, when this was birthed, alongside with my nonprofit, CompSciABC, um, it was this vision to I got to a point in my life where I was just feeling unfulfilled and wanted to give back to the community in a way that truly resonated with me. And having known that I've worked in industry for so long, and most of the time on the software development team, I was particularly the only Black person or the only Black woman on that team. It inspired me to want to help other young minority girls that are pursuing computer science to help with retention and for them to thrive. And that's how both these companies were born. My nonprofit was I birthed the idea of my nonprofit first, and then my Innova Technologies was created to help do a lot of the R&D to support that mission as well. So with Innova Technologies, we create fun computer science educational products that help to engage, educate, and boost the confidence of children in underrepresented communities. And with CompSciABC, which stands for Computer Science Awareness in Black Communities, what we do, our mission is to increase that number of minorities, especially Black women, that are thriving in computer science professions. So essentially, that's how these two were birthed.
Well, it's so interesting to hear that it was actually the reverse. We customarily know companies that get started as revenue generating opportunities. And then when they reach a certain point, they can consider their philanthropic contribution.
True.
But it's fascinating to hear you had the reverse. And I'm glad you shared a little bit about CompSciABC, but I would love to dig in a little bit more because I think our viewers are hopefully noticing your background, different from mine. You have a very distinct little doll or person over your left shoulder. So could you share with everyone a little bit more about Shami, the computer scientist?
Absolutely. So as I started my story, when I decided to help out young girls pursuing computer science in college, I decided I wanted to create a scholarship program, but then I quickly thought, okay, by the time young girls get to 12th grade or freshman year, they've actually already decided what they want to major in. So I needed to focus on the younger generation, the high schoolers, elementary schoolers, and middle schoolers. So what kind of products can I create that is both entertaining to capture their attention, to engage them, and educational? Because some of the pain points I've seen is that underrepresented children feel that computer science is either boring, it's too complex, and they automatically just feel like they're not smart enough to do it, or their lack of relatable mentors that is there to help coach them or guide them. So that's how I came up with this character, the Shami the computer scientist character, which at first I created the book. So this is Shami the computer scientist, subtitled Princess Can't Code. So that's how I birthed this character first. And then I wanted to bring her to life as an interactive doll. So how did I come up with this? Again, I needed it to be educational, to take away that boring perception of computer science. I wanted to make it fun, easy to understand some of these concepts, and relatable. And is in a character that they can identify with. So it helps to shatter a mental glass ceiling of what they can or cannot do. I want young kids to dream big. So that's how this character was born. She comes with a voiceover box on the back. And when they interact with it, when they press it, she speaks over 220 words, embedded in 12 different phrases. So she touches on basic foundational CS concepts when it comes to computer programming, such as, algorithm, code, artificial intelligence, HTML, JavaScript, web page, condition, loops, algorithms. I think I said algorithms, and binary numbers. But it also touches on the social awareness piece I want to highlight, and that's cyberbullying. And some may think, what does that have to do with computer science? Well, everything, because cyberbullying wouldn't exist without computer advancements in computer science technologies. So with her embodying this social awareness piece adds more value to what she can do and bring to the classroom, because we want, we live we live in a fast-paced digital world. Children are engaging with more and more tech the younger they are, and we want them to have to be socially responsible while utilizing these technologies. And also, just to point out, under the CSK 212 standards, uh, cyberbullying falls under impacts of computing. That's one of the core concepts. That's how these technologies affect our lives. So that's one of those pieces. So that brings the great value. She shows the great value that she can bring to young students.
So, well, it's really impressive, and it's a wonderful door opener to maybe highlight a little bit how we're going to be working together. And just briefly, for those who might be listening to their first Infi Ed Talk, our foundation is focused on the K-12 space. So we are trying, as I mentioned, to help educators and students learn all of these concepts as early as possible, or in the theme of today's International Women's Day, breaking barriers, right? Helping young people see their future in a digital economy. So we're going to be bringing some of this work into the classroom and trying to help teachers work with the doll or the story that you have authored. Can you speak to how you envision these products or this approach really helping to empower at those early years?
Absolutely. So something I've done before with another organization, and I see that this curriculum works. So it will really be value in the classroom. With the Shaman Computer Science doll, kids find it fascinating and engaging as they interact with it. So a teacher can have one in a classroom. We call it a teacher's helper. This is the new teacher's helper to help empower the classroom and inspire the children. So it kind of introduces these concepts, and it makes the kids more open to want to learn these concepts. And then the teachers can follow up with reading. So with my Princess King Code storybook, it's actually a picture book and a chapter book. So it comes with 2 chapters. It actually covers about 17 computer science concepts. It has a glossary on the back. It actually has 2 exercises, interactive exercises, actually teach how to create your first web page in there as well. So with this book, they can read the first chapter just to get the kids into the story, because it's entertaining. How else are we going to keep their attention if we don't make it fun? So the teachers can read the story aloud, and after that, they can now get into more hands-on, unplugged activities. So with the computer science activity books, we have it for girls and boys. It touches on 17. It has about 17 activities in here that the teachers can use to engage kids in the concepts they've just been introduced to and dive more deeper into fun activities. So we do it in various different ways by creating in different puzzles, like crossword puzzles, tracing. So just to show a sample of that, this is just a crossword puzzle to reinforce the definitions of some of the concepts that they learn. We talk about, debugging. So debugging instructions, algorithm, which is a list of steps to complete a task. We talk about that as well. And we also pique their interest as far as when it comes to designing a game. What does it take? So here in this activity, kids dive into actually an unplugged activity of how to collect all the stars on the grid. And with that, they fill it out in the algorithm worksheet. And in the algorithm worksheet, they now get an opportunity to learn, okay, what are loops? So they have to find patterns in their algorithm to identify an opportunity to use a loop within a pattern. And also we touch on binary numbers. because essentially that's how computers are coded behind the scenes in ones and zeros. So we just simply touch on what are binary numbers and how to decode them into whole numbers. So we try to make it exciting for the kids to learn. And yeah, so this is how teachers can use it in the classroom.
Well, wonderful. And it is a plug, but I may as well make it. As I mentioned, we're going to be partnering with Bukola and bringing a lot of this to life on our Pathfinders Online Institute. And that is a platform that is truly free for all K-12 educators, for students, for their families. Some of this equally could be used, I think, in home between parents and students. So there will be that, as well as some of these materials that will be on a first come, first serve basis available. So, but the plug for all of that aside, I think, Bukola, what would be great is maybe to just finish by sharing your view. What does, and do you feel it's possible that we will have a world that is truly free of discrimination, free of bias, and really pushing towards equality, not only in the computer science academic realm, but as we move into the workforce of the future? Will you share with us, hopefully, some of your positive vision about that?
Absolutely. So in a world that is free of bias, providing that equality for all of us, especially for women, I see opportunities, loads of opportunities for women to, one, generate a higher income, earned income, where they can support themselves and their families and their communities. And equally for the companies to show that they value, these resources to their company. So when someone feels valued, they do more. They can go above and beyond. So it's a win-win situation. So I see opportunities for women to make greater impact in society. Also, I see respect. Just common respect for someone's intellect and what they bring to the table. When you really respect that, they reciprocate. So that's what I see. And I see also an adjustment in proper expectations. Because something I've seen, just to give an example, something I've seen, if a man on a, say, for example, on a software development team, there's a certain expectation that comes in. So if you have a man and a woman, so when a task is given to the man, if the man has to go to Google and do some research just to get the task done, there is this bias that, oh, it must be hard. So he had to do all this extra research just to get it done. So there's this grace that's automatically allotted to him. But if the same task was assigned to a woman and she does the same thing, go on Google, does some research to get it done, it somehow confirms this false bias that, oh, we knew it. She just wasn't up to the task, or she wasn't smart enough to do it. So that's something I've seen. So when I see a world free of this kind of bias, I see that grace that is equally applied, and the expectation is properly adjusted, and people are given an opportunity to excel, an opportunity to learn. So that's what I see.
Well, I think you've been very careful in articles where you've been interviewed and in your own promotional materials to speak about boys and girls. So when we know these barriers, or we hear these barriers exist in the workplace, I think unpacking that, we go way back to the K-12 years and know these conversations are not just for young girls, but to have them alongside their boy peers and others in their classrooms, so that everyone goes on this journey. And hopefully we do chip away at the bias that you mentioned. So
Absolutely.
I think I just want to acknowledge all the great work you're doing. I hope it's clear. We're looking forward to partnering with you, and that we consider you a true pioneer in the K-12 computer science space. And to everyone else, we wish you a very happy International Day, and let's all continue to work together on this important work.
Yes, break the bias.
Thank you.